Hello guys, Machi here. Today I wanted to do a pretty in-depth look and analysis on Exdeath and Gilgamesh, two characters that I really like. I was finally able to pull their EXs. I love FF5. And we're gonna try and do a chaos fight. We'll do the Fran Lost Chapter chaos fight, since we are not synergy with Gilgamesh and Exdeath there. And we will run a full FF5 team with Galuf too, so yay. And we're gonna use a General Leo Fran here to get through the first wave pretty fast and get straight to the boss. So we will try to look and see what Gilgamesh and Exdeath are all about, what they do well, what maybe they don't do well. Yeah, I'll give you my ideas on what these two characters are able to do. And we can discuss their potencies in the various different situations and fight. Alright, for now, Gilgamesh is pretty unique. Let's start with him. He has basically a gravity plus melee resist down for 1 turn on bravery attack. That's like one of the weirdest bravery plus that you'll see. Genji Blade has speed down. Deathclaw is a gravity plus a buff to himself and a chance to paralyze. Wild Dance does splash damage and recover. You get uses recovery with the EX. Like he has Gilgamesh. You just look at his base abilities and you immediately see that there is a lot going on with this kid. So that's why a lot of people actually think that Gilgamesh basically has this problem where he does a lot of little things, but none of what he does is actually great. I'm gonna switch Exdeath out here a little bit. I just want to go with General Leo here, but I think that I think that's actually not true. What Gilgamesh does well, you'll see later in the boss fight. You'll see it later. So for now, let's just go through this first wave. I'm gonna use a double blade block here. So Wild Dance is pretty much the bread and butter ability of Gilgamesh here. It's pretty strong actually, because it does 50% splash. Gilgamesh and Exdeath 2 are two characters that shines more on AoE fights than single target fight, for sure. Alright, for now, let's just kill this Lich very quickly. We don't want to keep the boss waiting. Genji Blade is a pretty interesting HP plus from Gilgamesh. It puts speed down, which is pretty neat actually if you think about it. And you can stack it up with other debuffs. It's only 3 turns, but it's actually pretty cool that a melee DPS like him can do a little bit of speed control with that. I think that's valuable overall. Okay. Let's just Genji Blade again. So Gilgamesh, kinda like other FF5 characters, needs a little bit of time to get rolling. This is because, I mean, he doesn't have the mastering of abilities or anything like that, but he needs his EX, because his EX gives him a buff, and it doesn't start with that. Hurricane gives him a buff that's actually pretty neat, and he really needs it. Hurricane is very strong with his EX plus, does a lot of it, strong, strong bravery damage, overall 50% splash, and delays the initial target. So not all the targets, even if the bravery hits are AoE, you only delay the main target. Alright, we have Exdeath here, but we'll talk about Exdeath in the boss fight. For now, let's just do this first wave. So the buff that Gilgamesh gets from his EX is Real Mensch. Raises initial bravery, the stolen bravery overflow, and bravery regen. In this case, we don't really have anybody else that can kinda improve this effect, but Gilgamesh can regen for quite a bunch. You can pair him up, for example, with a Self, with a Kate Seat, someone like that, and he will actually have a pretty strong regen. So no joke. That will definitely help him, for sure. And we get one use back of Wild Dance every time we use the EX. And this EX is not slow, guys. So you can definitely spam Wild Dance quite a lot. Let's just HP plus here. Yeah, no, let's just do an HP plus with Exdeath here. I'm not using cover yet. Probably should use once at least. Alright. Something that you might have noticed is that we lost a buff with Gilgamesh. And that is his Death Claw. Death Claw, it's not an ability that you can spam like all the time, in my opinion, because it is a strong gravity effect and you don't want to kinda waste gravity effects like this. With the added bonus of having a pretty decent chance of paralyze, actually. It's not like Kagrias where it just never paralyzes. This one has a fair chance of paralyzing every now and then. But most importantly, it keeps up your attack cap. So buff managing with, or rather that buff to manage is something to keep in mind with Gilgamesh if you're running a composition like in this case where we don't have any like buffs really. We don't have a buffer in the team, so it is important to kind of keep track of it. You'll see that Gilgamesh does a ton of bravery damage, regardless of anything really. But keeping up the attack buff is always nice, of course. Alright, let's just get through this Lich here. And let's start to talk Exdeath 2. Alright, so that's the general overview of Gilgamesh, but you'll see better him better in action here, that we have two targets. Alright, we can finally talk about Exdeath 2. Exdeath is a very unique character, maybe the most unique character right now in the game. Exdeath excels at basically managing bravery. He cannot break unless you do a bravery attack, which is just a normal magic attack, basically. But he reduces the enemy bravery and increases his own based on his own attack. So the more the more attack, the best for Exdeath here. You want to start by putting 3 stacks of Bud of Darkness, which is a bravery poison effect. Other than that, you want 3 stacks because it empowers your other abilities that we will see very soon. So this is very unique, actually. The fact that you can always, regardless of basically everything, reduce the enemy bravery is really something that is not to be underrated. Because Exdeath is one of those characters, actually very few characters that do damage has this like perk, if any at all, that he literally doesn't care for what fight he is in, because he will do bravery damage or bravery reduction regardless of everything. The only type of basically enemy that can really be annoying for Exdeath is a boss that can remove framed debuff. Other than that, we don't care what the enemy is resistant to. We don't care about elements, like anything. So that's very important. That's to keep in mind when you play Exdeath. Is that like kind of like Gilgamesh, Exdeath is super versatile in this regard. So the other peculiar thing about Exdeath is, first of all, you'll see that he has very like weird skill uses. He has skill 1 with a ton of uses and skill 2 with very few uses. This is because Almagest is a pretty strong ability, because it puts a very peculiar debuff on the enemy. And in general with Exdeath you cannot spam abilities. Like you cannot do like we are doing with Gilgamesh here and spamming wild dances. Like you cannot do that. Oh look, we got a paralyze. We refreshed our attack up with Gilgamesh. Nice. You have to manage your skill uses a little bit. The other thing to keep in mind when playing Exdeath is that you need to kind of get a feel for it. Since he's so different to play, you definitely want to try him out a bunch to understand exactly how much bravery gain you get, which also depends on the general team composition that you're running, because everything scales off his attack, so changes to his attack affect a bunch of stuff. His HP plus is pretty important. It's pretty strong because it reduces, like we said, bravery on the enemy regardless of everything, pretty much. Okay, let's do that. And you kind of want to get a feel for it. I'm almost tempted to use another blade block. Yeah, let's use one more blade block. Okay, now we are also ready. We have the EX ready. I didn't show that yet. Let's talk about it. Alright, this guy is paralyzed. Nice. So Grand Cross is pretty strong. It's pretty slow charging too. 100% splash damage to everybody, or you do total damage to everyone. You put a debuff that is really neat and offers protection to the party. Not to mention a lot of battery to the party as well. So let's use it. So ideally you want to try and time Exdeath EX for times when you really need it for protection, because the debuff that he puts is Power of the Void, which will bring all the HP attack to 0, and it will reduce the bravery of the enemy after that attack to 0. So completely nullifies whatever the enemy is trying to do. Really strong. And also the curse debuff that we put with Almagest, it's very neat. It's a frame debuff that has a little bit of attack, defense and speed down. Especially speed down is pretty nice being framed, because you can stack it up with a bunch of different stuff. And it's the HP poison, which is a unique effect in the game for now for Exdeath. The HP poison also depends on the Exdeath base attack. So that can also change based on your composition and all of that. It's pretty strong because it's basically cheap damage every turn for the whole duration of the fight. So definitely nothing to laugh at. Alright, so that's the general overview of these two characters. Now let's play the fight, and you'll see what these two characters can or cannot do. So for Gilgamesh, we were saying that people are kind of disappointed that it does a bunch of stuff, but it doesn't really master anything of what it does. I see it a little bit differently. This guy, the main thing, like what Gilgamesh does best, is actually just hitting hard as a truck. Gilgamesh has very high potencies. You'll see that even on Chaos bosses, of course it depends based on your composition, on the enemy boss fight and all of that, but generally speaking, Gilgamesh is one of those characters that hit very hard bravery hits regardless, so it doesn't really matter if he only does like 4 hits with Wild Dance and all of that, because he will still hit hard. For example, we are still hitting 9 max damage here. That's a lot of damage because we have the splash damage too. Like that's no joke. And you'll see that Gilgamesh, probably in this fight, Gilgamesh will hit, if not max damage, all the way down when they are even in red, in the red bar, all buffed up. Very close to that, I think. We'll see. So having a character that does very heavy bravery shaving like that, because you not remember that he also has the gravity effect, which can be great in the right situations. Can bravery shave like that and hit very hard in a lot of different situations is very valuable actually. If you think about it, a lot of DPSs or melee bravery DPSs suffers when the enemy gets, you know, fully buffed up, especially in chaos fights, of course. There are fights where the enemy defense is skyrockets. Having someone like Gilgamesh that has a lot of bravery potency can be very, very valuable. We'll see how he does in this fight. Okay. I messed up here a little bit. I should have delayed A instead of B. Trying to keep both of the enemies here the same amount of health, pretty much. Okay. So with Exdeath, you'll see that I'll try to be fairly sporadic with my skill uses. Because, like I said, you kind of need to manage it. And myself, I'm still trying to get a feel for it. Depends on the fight, of course, as well. For now, we will refresh Almagest and keep the HP poison up. And we will need to refresh the Black Hole debuff as well. Alright. Let's use... Okay, we need to cover again, definitely. Let's use that claw. Let's see if we can get a paralyze. No, we can't. Alright. Curse. Our curse is doing 14k damage for now, which is pretty respectable if you think about it. Every turn. Alright, we have Grand Cross ready. I'll try to wait for the next turn to use Grand Cross if we can. Let's see. Maybe we can't because I don't know if we... Yeah, no, probably we cannot line it up. Line it up. I wanted to try avoid their HP damage. Probably we can't now, but whatever. Let's continue. We have Galu for tanking it. Maybe we can, if we can. No, you cannot break in the right order. Alright. Okay. We have Galuf countering. He's tanking like a champ. Okay, well, we have Hurricane, so we can delay at least A. Probably, maybe I lost my max rate buff? No. Okay. Dual wield on B. Okay. He got us, but that's really not that big of a deal. Okay. Let's use Grand Cross. Strong batteries from Grand Cross, as you can see. And Grand Cross in Summon does a lot. Really strong. Okay. So we have both the enemies at 0 bravery. Alright. Yeah, let's Wild Dance B. We will counter this one, okay. Yeah. Normal HP plus, that's battery. We're just controlling the fight for now. We actually, like, our team here, for the team that we have, we don't have like crazy burst damage or anything like that. Our main source of bravery damage is, well, of course Exdeath can control the bravery, but the big bravery hits here are from Gilgamesh, and Galuf kinda does, you know, cheap damage every time with his counter and all of that. So we are just kind of controlling the fight for now. We are not having any big problems. So every time we use Wild Dance, as you can see, we cap Bravery completely. And we do about 80k damage every time because of the splash damage. So that's very respectable if you think about it. And we are not running any support with like Bravery Region or Battery or anything like that. So Gilgamesh in this composition is completely self-sufficient. He's doing a lot of Bravery damage, regardless of having a super or not, or Battery or not. It does well on his own. Alright. Let's use... How many turns of Almagest do we have here? Yeah, let's use Almagest. Let's use one more. Okay, we have Hurricane. Alright. Let's use it on A. Should do some more damage on B, probably. As you can see, the bravery, the normal bravery, HP plus from Exdeath is not bad at all. Pretty decent. Okay, we have only one more turn of attack up. Or do we want to use a Death Claw? Not yet. Okay. Should check my cover. We still have 3 turns and 4 turns. Okay. I need to refresh my dodge on Galuf here. Okay, the bosses are below 50% health now, so they will start doing, they'll start to get a little bit more messy to deal with. Let's see. Okay, I'll delay my Grand Cross a little bit again here. Let's see if we can line it up with their HP attack. Other than that, I'm gonna do a normal HP plus. Alright. Yes, let's refresh the Blade Block. And we're managing our buffs and the general situation of our team with no problems for now. Of course, we have a team that completely kind of denies the bravery gain from these two dudes. Okay, let's delay A so we can Grand Cross. We will talk about the Crystal level 65 abilities as well. Both are really good for both Gilgamesh and Exdeath. We will soon use them. Power of the Void. So we weren't able to time it with their HP attack, but it doesn't really matter, we have a tank for that. So I'd rather do the damage. Okay, yes, let's use Blade Blitz. I mean, actually I kinda fucked up, I should have covered. I forgot about that. Aha. Well, no worries. This might be a good time to use the added ability. So for Gilgamesh here, we have Advance Up, more Overflow, and more Bravery Region, even more. Both really good things for him. Alright. That said, I'm gonna use a Death Claw first. For Exdeath, we have Max Brave and attack. Very straightforward, but both of these two things are very important to him because of all the scalings going on. Let's summon. Alright. Black Hole. Gilgamesh. Just Wild Dance. Galuf cover. Almagest. Hurricane. You can see we are still hitting very, very hard. Alright. They are in the red zone, so we can start spamming a little bit more with Exdeath. Alright. Actually, I'll cover again. Just for some bravery region. Alright. Let's use it once more. That claw. This is Drunk Cross 2. Alright. Ability recovery as well. A little bit late for that, but still. Okay, and we just need to close the fight out. Hopefully they don't do weird paralyze to us. That's already a weird paralyze. Alright. Break us, but no problem. We are still hitting for 7.5k bravery hits on the EX with Gilgamesh, still hitting like a truck. And Wild Dance still hitting for max damage. Alright, man. So that's what I mean when I say like Gilgamesh is very versatile. Because he has all these different tools to deal with different situations. But his main thing is just hitting hard. Really. Which is very useful. Right, should have Blade Blitz, yes. Fa. Okay. That is a little bit annoying. Yeah, no, let's just use Wild Dance. Okay. They could still mess us up with some paralyzers and stuff, but they're not doing it, so we are fine. Let's go Hurricane. Let's see if we'll probably kill B with Splash here. And should be a double kill. Nice. All right. Very good. So this was an overview of what Gilgamesh and Exdeath are about. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to discuss it. I would say that yes, there are things that both these characters are not great at, but as you can see, they also have a lot of positives. And yes, of course, we had Galuf tanking the fight, but we could have run like a support with them, could have run someone else. Like they are very versatile in what they do. So I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, see you guys soon.